What's up guys, it's Rowan here from AOSTV TV. And look, honestly, in the best of times, the HSC is a challenging journey. And right now with COVID-19 sweeping the world and causing escalating lockdown in Australia, from speaking with so many students and families in the community, I know that the HSC in Year 12 is just feeling even more stressful than ever before. What does this mean for my HSC? What does it mean for my ATAR? How will this impact university preferences and admissions? And so in this video, I'm going to share three things with you. The first is, now that NESA has announced that the HSC will continue, I'm going to walk through some of the implications this has and the impact it'll have on you as a HSC student. The second thing I'm going to share is what are some practical things that you can do to achieve your personal best during 2020, despite all of the difficulties that COVID-19 will bring. And third and finally, I'm going to share some of the support and resources that AOSTV have available and have made available to help you on your journey. So let's dive right in. So guys, one of the big things that has occurred is that NESA have announced that the HSC for 2020 at this point will still continue. Now, they have put together a special COVID-19 advisory board, and this advisory board is going to continue to monitor the situation as it unfolds. So there may be future advice that we receive from NESA as to what Year 12 and the HSC will look like in 2020. For the time being though, it does mean that the HSC will still be sat. And that's of course challenging because it means that despite maybe not attending school and having to do, distance learning, self-directed learning at home, you're still going to need to know your content and know your stuff. Now, what NESA did highlight though is that they have given principals of schools and those responsible for larger school sort of areas, let's say if you're the leader of the Sydney Catholic Diocese as an example, the flexibility to make decisions about the number of assessments and the weightings of those assessments. Now, the reason they have done this is part of the new syllabus when it was implemented was that it actually mandated a number of internal assessments that had to occur, and it also specified the weighting that each would take. Now, of course, what has happened is that a number of schools have had to postpone the assessments that would have been occurring at the tail end of this term 1, so weeks 8, 9 and 10, due to what has occurred. And this then creates some challenges because it's uncertain as of yet whether or not schools will return in term 2 and in what capacity they will return. So NESA have made this decision to give schools the flexibility to identify how many assessments that they will actually have and what their weighting will be. Now, it's important to note this is going to have some major implications for HSC students. Now, this will vary school to school, and it will of course vary on the degree to which things return to normal or the degree to which schools find it challenging to run the assessments as planned and are forced to cancel more assessments. So what are these implications? Well, I think first of all, what we want to highlight is that most students have done at least one assessment at this point for their HSC. Now that might have been in term 4 in 2019, it might have been at the beginning of 2020 because some schools chose to push their first set of assessments into the start of 2020. Now if you've had that one assessment, that assessment would have been worth probably about 20% internally towards your overall internal HSC mark. Now, if you have maybe just squeezed in and you've done your second assessment at the, during term 1, maybe you got in week 7 or week 8 before things really went a little crazy, you might have done a second assessment also worth 20, maybe 25%. So at a maximum, what we've seen is that most students have done between 20 and let's say 45% of their total internal HSC assessment. Now, the important thing to note here, though, is this is only worth half of your overall HSC results. So whatever this is, we've got to halve this, which means that some students who have only done one assessment so far have only undertaken 10% of the entire HSC. Those that have done 2 might have done, 20 to 22.5%. So what this means is that even though we're almost 2 terms through, practically, the HSC, we're halfway there, the majority of students still have either 90% of their HSC still on the table ready to go, or they have somewhere around 77.5% to 80% of their HSC still on the table in terms of marks. And so it creates this weird outcome. We're 6 months through in time, but from a mark perspective, the bulk of the marks still sit on the table. Now, this then gets complicated if, for example, your school has postponed the assessment that was due this week, next week, the following, and they're unable to have an assessment early in term 2. What that's going to mean is it may mean that the assessment is simply cancelled completely, and therefore what we're going to see is that's going to need the weighting, or the marks that would have been associated with that is going to need to be picked up somewhere else. Now, the most obvious place that will be picked up is it will be reallocated into the next internal assessment and your HSC trials. Now, the problem becomes, what if schools can't conduct any assessments in term 2, next term 3 of year 12? Well, all of a sudden, we're then in a situation where the trials are going to be weighted a lot more to make up for this shortfall. Because maybe, as we've talked about, you've only done 20% of your internal assessment. So it means that if there's no other assessment that's possible, your trials could be worth as much as 80% internal, or 40% if we halve it. And that means that trials and HSC combined could be worth up to 90%. Now, I want to be clear, that's hopefully a very worst case scenario. Hopefully schools can actually create and deliver assessments in term 2, which means that you don't see too much of a shift in the weighting. But I think it would be fair to say, and a safe assumption, that if one assessment does not happen, you're going to see your later assessments and possibly your trials become worth more in weighting. So, now that we understand that in terms of these are some of the implications of the HSC continuing and of maybe assessments being cancelled, we need to understand what are things that you can do to handle this. And there are things. I want to be really clear. While this might sound stressful, and my intent isn't to stress you out, my intent is just to give you a clear picture of what things may look like, because if we have a clear understanding of worst case scenario and what may come, we can actually put things in place so that you're more resilient and more ready to able to deal with it. So, I have 3 suggestions of things that you can do that will make a huge impact in your ability to navigate whatever comes over the next couple of terms, depending on lockdowns and HSC announcements from NESA. So let's find out what these 3 things are. So the first thing that you can do is really create a mindset shift. And what I mean by this is that, it might be easy to feel like you're on holidays already, right? Because you're no longer going to school, you're doing this distance learning, online learning thing. It might seem a little more chilled out, there's less accountability. And so right now, what you might be feeling, despite being a little stressed about everything, is actually that it's pretty chilled from a school perspective. But ultimately, this could be the worst thing that you could do. As we've discussed, you might have anywhere from 77.5% up to 90% of your HSC marks still on the table. So right now, dialing back and chilling out is not the thing to do, because you've actually got the bulk of what's available to you still on the table for you to work towards and do your best in. So what this is actually going to mean is a mindset shift to realize, rather than dialing back and chilling out, what I need to be doing right now is I need to be doubling down on my study. I need to be doubling down on being self-directed and focused and doing the work, because at this current moment, depending on further NESA announcements later on based on COVID developments, I'm still going to need to know everything for this HSC. And so it's not like I get to chill out, I'm still going to be examined on this, and it may be in a really significant trial exam that's weighted quite heavily if we just go with a worst case scenario. So mindset shift, number 1. Right, really critically, you've got to shift your mindset and realize this is the time to double down, not the time to pull back. Because honestly, a lot of other students as well will put the foot on the brake, they'll take the foot off the accelerator, they'll start to relax. And that means that you've actually then got an opportunity here, if you actually have the mindset of doubling down and doing the work, where you can actually get ahead, as weird as that may sound, and actually improve your rank in following in future assessments quite significantly. So that's just the first thing. We really need to have a mindset shift here. That's going to help you make a significant difference in doing the work regardless of what outcomes occur with your HSC. Now, the second thing to realize and to do is that ultimately mastering self-study is going to be critical. What's happening is you're at home, and a lot of the time, what you're going to be doing is needing to work fairly self-directed. Now, in the past, that might have only been for the 3 or 4 hours of an evening when you came home after school and were doing a little bit of study. We're now taking that, and that's becoming a much larger portion of the day. And so from all of our research that we've done over the last decade with high-performing students, what we saw was that a student's ability to use their study time effectively, that was a key differentiator in their overall success in achieving their best in their HSC. And so that's become even more important now because most of the day is going to require those critical self-study skills and disciplines. Now, if we're being really honest, the big killer of productivity is going to be distraction. And if there's one thing that you can do to really rapidly improve the quality of your self-study to ensure that you get stuff done, it's to do whatever you can to minimize and kill distraction. And so there are a couple of things that you can do, and we'd recommend implementing them ASAP so that you can start building a habit. The first is super simple, and it's something called the Pomodoro technique. It was created and designed by a guy that was in Italy studying. He was on exchange at an Italian university, and he was struggling with procrastination and distraction. And he had a tomato, which is what Pomodoro means in Italian. And essentially, it was a timer that had a 25-minute increment, and he'd wind it up. He'd set it there, and his goal was to study for 25 minutes, no distractions, get the 25 minutes done, and then go check his phone, get distracted, do whatever. And then he would basically work in 25 increments. He'd set a goal to say, I'm going to do 5 Pomodoros today, 5 25 increments. And then he'd work, feel the itch to get distracted and focus, get through the 25, and then go and get distracted, do whatever, take a break, come back. So at a basic level, our first suggestion is use Pomodoros. They're incredibly powerful. It can be 25 minutes, it can be longer. 25 minutes is a great starting point, but it's a powerful way for you to actually start going, you know what, I need to get distraction-free study occurring. So that's step number 1 in ways in which you can actually really vanquish your distraction. The second thing is to actually create a no phone zone in those Pomodoros. Your phone is going to be one of the biggest sources of distraction. SMSs, notifications from friends, etc., Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. And so the simplest thing you can do is have a no phone zone. And that doesn't mean keep it with you and put on airplane mode, because let's be honest, we've all done the little switcheroo and just checked in. It means when you are studying on your Pomodoros, actually get it out of the room, right? Get it out of the room so it's not a distraction. Your phone is going to be the biggest thing that's going to get in the way of quality self-study, which you're going to need to master if you're still going to do your best for this HSC. The third and final thing is incredibly simple but incredibly important, and that's to get internet blocking apps on your laptop. That might be Self-Control or Focus.me, but it's knowing that you're going to just feel the urge to jump on YouTube, to jump on Facebook, to go to your favorite news site or Reddit or whatever it is, and that's going to happen frequently because you're going to spend more time on a device. And so the simple thing you can do is install these apps. You can go to your sort of most favorite, most viewed websites, get the links, put them in, and then you can create a block time for an hour, 2 hours, whatever your Pomodoro is, so that you can't get into those for that study period. These are 3 simple things you can do, but super powerful to actually help you master self-study by reducing your distraction. Now guys, the final strategy that I want to share with you about how you can actually navigate the journey of HSC successfully during COVID-19 and all the lockdowns is to actually team up with an accountability buddy. Now, the HSC can often feel like such a competitive journey where you're being ranked against all of your peers. But ultimately, from all of the research we've done over the last decade with high-performing students, one of the things, the themes that we consistently saw was that students that excelled were actually those that were so much more collaborative in their approach in working with peers and friends. And they were often the people that would be helping and teaching friends, and they were the ones that were doing incredibly well, which can be counterintuitive when you view the HSC through this narrow lens of a competition. Ultimately, right now with COVID-19 and the impacts it's having on the community, more than ever, we should be getting through this journey together. And actually working with friends is going to be an incredibly powerful way to reduce the feelings of isolation that can occur from being quarantined or isolating at home because you're not going to school, but also as a powerful way to make sure that you learn and master the content effectively and minimize your distraction. So our suggestion here for an accountability buddy is pick 1 to 2 friends and perhaps it's each night of the week, do a study with me session with them. Jump on a Google Hangout and both of you study during that, and so that then if one of you gets distracted, you're there to call the other person out to help them come back on. So that way it's like you're studying at the library or at school, which you might have already been doing with peers. You've got an accountability buddy there to keep you focused and keep you not distracted, and you can get work done. That's a nice, simple strategy. The second thing you can do, which will really elevate this strategy, is to also have booked sessions with 1 to 2 friends again, and never go more than 1 to 2, otherwise it becomes more of a hangout rather than something productive, is to actually then have sessions where you're teaching a friend key content from a subject that you've been learning that week, to really make sure that you're understanding it, and then they'll give you feedback and help you and ask questions. Or you could actually use this sort of teaching session as an opportunity to provide feedback on each other's paragraphs or essays that you're working on, or to construct collaboratively responses and essay plans and short answer responses so that you're doing it together and you're learning from each other, which is really critical, but you're also doing it in a way that's social, that's going to keep your motivation up across the journey, which is so important. So there you have it, guys. There's 3 big strategies. Number 1, a mindset shift that's going to be really critical. Number 2, a couple of ways, very powerful ways to master self-study. And number 3, to get an accountability buddy to really elevate your motivation, your accountability, and your learning while you're at home. So finally, what I'd love to share is just the resources and support ArtistSmart has available to help students and families during this challenging time. And the first thing is, over the last 4 years, our team of teachers and tutors at ArtistSmart have created hundreds of articles, subject-specific, practice questions, guides, videos, and more. We've made them free over the last years, and we're going to continue to ensure that these are available for students on our website and on our YouTube channel. We'd recommend that you get across these. They cover specific modules for new syllabus subjects. They go into detail about how you should study for certain subjects, how to stay motivated, organize your time, and so much more. They're going to be a really critical resource. Now, not only are we going to continue to make these available, more importantly, we're going to continue to be investing in creating more of these on how you can navigate this challenging journey. Studying from home creates a whole set of different challenges. And so our team are briefed and ready to continue to create incredible resources and guides that we'll make available for free on our website and on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't, make sure that you subscribe on YouTube, type ArtistSmart TV in and jump on there. And of course, jump on our website and you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter, so that way you can continue to get regular resources, articles and guides direct to your inbox every single week. Now, beyond this, we also have an incredible team of teachers, tutors and mentors. And over the last decade, we have delivered both in-person classes and one-on-one, as well as online tutoring sessions. And so we've trained and equipped our entire team of teachers and tutors to be ready to deliver amazing, engaging online tutoring classes and one-on-one sessions. These are live video calls, they're not recorded videos. You're able to interact, ask questions. It feels like you've got the tutor or the teacher right next to you in the room with you. And so these are available, so if you do need more support, I recommend get in touch with us at artistsmart.com.au. And we can work out what the best fit will be for you, whether or not that's joining one of our classes led by an incredible teacher for one of our Year 11 or Year 12 subjects, or whether or not it's some more targeted one-to-one support. We also provide a range of live Q&A tutorials for students across subjects so that you can, in addition to getting support on specific subjects, going through the content and helping you really build mastery of it, you can also get those burning questions answered with your assessments and your homeworks from some of our incredible team. So get in touch with the team to find out more and how that could help you. Finally, we also have our Pathfinder program. And our Pathfinder program is a mentoring program where we work with you as a performance partner for your HSC to help you achieve success in your HSC, whatever your ATAR may be. It has 3 components, the first being about helping you lift your results, helping you master the skills that you need to study effectively, to manage exams effectively, to deal with the anxiety that comes with them, to keep your health and motivation there so that you can excel, so that you can maximize your opportunities for university. Now more than ever, having a mentor to help you master self-study is going to be so critical, and that's a key part of what the program does. It also helps students in the second component with finding direction, manage the university preferences, admissions, scholarships, early entry, co-op, cadetship process, and more. And again, with so much changing this year, having a mentor there to guide the way is going to be so supportive and really take the stress off. The third and final component, of course, in the Pathfinder program is also to help students stand out to get opportunities for next year. And we hope, of course, that when things calm down, there'll be a return to normal and you'll be able to then take advantage of these opportunities and set yourself up for 2020. And that's what the Pathfinder program does. Now, I'm really excited to share that we still have some scholarships available for this program. We were offering 50 scholarships. We still have scholarships available. If you have not yet applied, we'd really encourage you to do so. You can go to our website and apply. And that way, we would love to be able to provide these scholarships to the community as well during such a challenging time to support HSC students and families through this challenging journey. So if you haven't yet, hit that button to apply on our website, which is artistsmart.com.au. Finally, from myself and the entire ArtistSmart team, we wish and hope you stay safe. If there's anything that we can do to support you, leave a comment below this video, get in touch with us if there's something that we can do to help. Myself and the team will do our best to support you navigate the HSC in these challenging times. Stay safe and all the best.